My mom screamed, "Stop ruining the trip with your sister. Just leave," like I was the problem, even though I booked every ticket and every room. So I left, quietly. 3 hours later, her card got declined at check-in. Can you fathom spending months, even years, building a perfect memory, only for your own mother to look you in the eye and hiss, "Just leave"? That's what happened to me, and it shattered everything I thought I knew about family. I was standing in our lavish Miami hotel suite, the humid air thick with the unspoken tension between my mom, Eleanor, and my sister, Chloe, who were bickering, as usual, about dinner reservations. I, Avery, then 29, had poured my entire heart and thousands of dollars from my demanding marketing job into making this dream family vacation absolutely flawless. Our family dynamic? Always a tangled mess. My mom, Eleanor, now 58, had been a single mother since my dad walked out when I was just 7. She worked herself ragged, juggling 2 jobs to keep us afloat. That meant Chloe, my younger sister by 5 years, was often babied, sheltered, while I was forced to grow up at lightning speed. And that pattern? It dug its heels in and followed us straight into adulthood. Chloe remained the family fragile one, perpetually needing protection and special treatment. Me? I became the sturdy pillar, the responsible one, the one expected to just handle everything. Despite this glaring imbalance, all I ever truly yearned for was a genuine, close connection with them. My career in digital marketing had taken off, thank goodness. By 29, I was finally making enough to inject a little luxury into our lives. Eleanor, on the other hand, was a hospital administrator, constantly stressed, perpetually overworked. And Chloe? At 24, she was still finding herself, drifting between a string of retail jobs. Then, last year, Eleanor had a minor heart scare. Nothing too serious, the doctor said, just stress. But it hit me like a ton of bricks. It was a brutal reminder of how fleeting, how incredibly precious, our time together truly was. That's when the idea sparked. I would plan the ultimate 60th birthday trip for her. A whole week in Miami at a gorgeous beachfront resort. I wanted to give her an experience she would never, ever splurge on for herself. The planning? It consumed me for over 3 months. Nights blurred into mornings as I meticulously researched hotels, hunting for that perfect ocean view within our budget. I scored an unbelievable deal on a luxury suite by booking 6 months in advance. My hard-earned airline miles? Used them to upgrade all 3 of us to first class. I just wanted Eleanor to experience that kind of indulgence, even if just once. I scoured restaurant reviews, ensuring every place would cater to Eleanor's dietary restrictions and Chloe's notoriously picky palate. I created color-coded itineraries, complete with backup plans for rain. And the money? I personally saved nearly $7,000 from my own accounts to cover the lion's share of the expenses. Eleanor managed to chip in about $1,500. Chloe? She promised to handle some meals. But I knew better than to hold my breath on that one. The red flags? They started waving almost immediately after I proudly announced the trip. Chloe, predictable as ever, whined about the early morning flight. "Why can't we leave in the afternoon?" "I hate waking up early," she griped. I patiently explained it was the only flight I could secure with the first-class upgrades. Afternoon flights? An extra $300 per person. Money we simply didn't have in the budget. And then Eleanor, my own mother, sided with her. "Avery, you know your sister isn't a morning person. Couldn't you have found something more reasonable?" My frustration burned, but I swallowed it down, reiterating the budget constraints. This was the first of countless moments where I felt my colossal efforts dissolving into thin air, utterly unappreciated. But I pushed it aside. "This trip isn't about me," I chanted in my head. "It's about Eleanor. Her special birthday." As the departure date loomed, the complaints only intensified. Eleanor scrutinized my hotel choice. "Are you sure it's in a good area? Your cousin Brenda went to Miami last year and said the beach area can be so noisy." Never mind that I devoured hundreds of reviews and handpicked a resort celebrated for its peaceful seclusion. Chloe, meanwhile, barraged me with daily texts, each one a wrecking ball aimed at my meticulously crafted plans. "We should do a party boat instead of the sunset cruise." I found this club that's supposed to be amazing. Can we just skip dinner that night? Every single time, I calmly, patiently explained my reasoning. I tried to bend, to accommodate, all while whispering to myself, keep Eleanor happy. I even modified the itinerary multiple times, sacrificing non-refundable deposits just to maintain some semblance of peace. The night before we left, sleep was a distant dream. I was a whirlwind of excitement mixed with bone-deep anxiety. I had poured every fiber of my being into this trip, not just financially, but emotionally. I needed it to be perfect. I needed Eleanor to feel cherished, loved. I wanted us to forge memories that would last a lifetime. Never, not in my wildest nightmares, did I imagine that 3 short days later, I'd be boarding a plane home alone, tears stinging my eyes, utterly bewildered, wondering where it all went so terribly, tragically wrong. Our plane touched down in Miami at 11:30 a.m. under a sky so perfectly blue it almost hurt to look at. Palm trees swayed like graceful dancers in the soft, balmy breeze as our taxi glided up to the hotel entrance. The lobby was a breathtaking symphony of modern luxury. Polished marble floors gleamed, crystal chandeliers dripped like diamonds from the ceiling, and colossal, floor-to-ceiling windows offered tantalizing glimpses of the turquoise ocean beyond. "This is beautiful," Eleanor murmured, genuine surprise blooming in her voice as the bellhop whisked our luggage away. In that fleeting instant, I felt a surge of vindication. Maybe this will work after all. Check-in was seamless, thanks to my meticulous online pre-registration. And when we stepped into our suite, even Chloe seemed momentarily awestruck by the expansive rooms and the sweeping balcony view of the sea. "Which bedroom is mine?" she demanded immediately. My plan, of course, was for Eleanor to have the master bedroom, the one with the ensuite and the glorious ocean view. Chloe and I would take the smaller rooms. "Eleanor gets the master, of course," I stated gently. "But I wanted the ocean view." Chloe pouted, her lower lip jutting out. Rather than launch into an immediate argument, I caved. I relinquished my room, the one with the partial ocean view, and took the tiniest room, facing the city. A small sacrifice, I told myself, for peace. Lunch reservations awaited us at a waterfront restaurant, one-eyed painstakingly chosen for its incredible seafood, knowing Eleanor would adore it. The meal began pleasantly enough. Eleanor snapped photos of the view, her colorful cocktail. But halfway through the appetizers, the familiar complaints began. "This ceviche is too limey," Chloe declared, pushing her plate away. "And why is it so hot out here? Couldn't we have eaten inside?" I had specifically requested outdoor seating to capture that exact, gorgeous view described in every 5-star review. "We can ask to move inside," I offered, already subtly signaling the waiter. Eleanor shook her head, a strained smile on her face. No, it's fine. Let's not make a scene. We'll just eat quickly and go." The meal I'd envisioned as the perfect opening to our vacation became a rushed, tense ordeal. Chloe barely touched her food. Eleanor kept glancing nervously at her watch. Back in the sanctuary of our hotel, I optimistically suggested we change and head to the beach for a few hours before dinner. "I'm actually really tired from the flight," Eleanor sighed. "I think I'll take a nap." "Me too," Chloe chirped, adding, "Plus, I need to fix my nails." The polish chipped in my suitcase. I fought to conceal my disappointment. "That's fine," I said, trying to sound breezy. "I made dinner reservations for 7:30 at that Cuban place I told you about. It gets booked up fast, so we should leave by 7 o'clock. They both offered vague nods before vanishing into their rooms. Left utterly alone, I decided to explore the hotel and the beach by myself. The beach, at least, was everything I had envisioned. Pristine white sand, impossibly clear blue water. I walked along the shore, desperately trying to rekindle my excitement for the trip, clinging to the hope that things would improve once everyone was rested. The next morning, I woke before the sun, slipping down to the pool area to reserve a premium cabana. The hotel staff had warned me they were usually claimed by 8 a.m., so I was there by 7 o'clock, ensuring we'd have luxurious shade and comfort for our beach day. I even ordered a lavish fruit platter and coffee to be delivered at 10 o'clock, assuming everyone would finally be up by then. When I returned to the room at 9:30, I found Eleanor and Chloe still in their pajamas, lost in their phones. "Good morning," I announced, beaming. "I've got us a great cabana for today. Breakfast will be delivered there at 10 o'clock. Eleanor looked up, a frown etching her brow. "Oh, I don't know if I want to sit at the beach all day. It's supposed to be really hot. Plus, those cabanas are always right next to screaming kids," Chloe chimed in dismissively. "Actually," I explained, my voice tight, "I got us one in the adults-only section. And it even has misters to keep us cool." I thought we could relax there until lunch, then maybe do the Art Deco walking tour I mentioned. Eleanor and Chloe exchanged a look I couldn't quite decipher. "I was thinking we might go shopping instead," Chloe said, her eyes bright. "I saw there's a mall nearby. But the walking tour." I began, my mind flashing to the non-refundable tickets I'd purchased months ago. "Avery," Eleanor interrupted, her tone firm. "It's a vacation. We don't need to stick to a strict schedule. If Chloe wants to go shopping, we can do your tour another day." I swallowed my protest, the bitter taste of $75 per person in lost tour tickets already forming in my mouth. "Sure," I forced out, "shopping could be fun, too." We eventually made it to the cabana 2 hours later than planned. The breakfast I'd ordered was now a sad, forgotten spread, the coffee cold. Neither Eleanor nor Chloe seemed to notice or care about the wasted food or the wasted money. That evening, we had dinner reservations at an upscale restaurant, a place I'd secured weeks in advance, complete with a $50 per person cancellation fee. As we were getting ready, Chloe casually dropped a bomb. "I told my friend Mia about our trip, and she wants to meet us for drinks tonight. She lives here." "You have a friend in Miami?" I asked, genuinely surprised. "When did you plan this?" "Oh, we've been Instagram friends for years," Chloe explained, utterly unfazed. "She can recommend way better places than the tourist traps in your itinerary." My careful, loving plans dismissed as tourist traps. The sting was sharp, but I tried to remain flexible. "Well, we have dinner reservations at 8. Maybe she could join us for drinks after." "The reservation is for 3 people," Eleanor interjected, ever practical. "We can't just add another person at a fancy restaurant." "Then let's cancel and go where Mia suggests," Chloe declared, as if it were the most obvious, brilliant solution. "There's a cancellation fee," I explained, my voice strained. "And it's a really special restaurant. The chef was on Top Chef last season." "So, you care more about a reservation than meeting my friend?" Chloe's voice took on that familiar, wounded, accusatory tone I knew so well. Later that night, back in the hotel suite, I found myself in my bedroom, trying to unwind. But the thin walls carried their voices. I overheard Eleanor and Chloe talking in the living area. "Avery is being so controlling," Chloe was complaining. "It's like we're on her business trip, with a minute-by-minute agenda." "She means well," Eleanor replied, her tone more weary than defensive. "But yes, it would be nice to just relax without checking what's next on the schedule." I pressed my pillow to my face hard, to muffle the sounds, to hide the silent tears that welled up. They had no idea. No idea how much research, how much money, how much sheer love had gone into that minute-by-minute agenda. All I'd wanted was to craft the most perfect experience for them. And somehow, that had transformed me into the villain. On the morning of our second full day, I woke up with a fierce determination. I would be more flexible. If they craved a relaxed vacation, I would bend, I would adapt. I plastered on my brightest smile and suggested the hotel buffet for breakfast, something simple, no reservations, no time constraints. "That sounds nice," Eleanor agreed, sounding visibly relieved by the lack of rigid structure. As we piled our plates high with tropical fruits and pastries, Chloe, without a hint of irony, dropped a bombshell. "By the way, Mia is going to join us at the beach today. For our cabana," she added. I froze. A forkful of pineapple suspended halfway to my mouth. "The cabana only comfortably seats 4, I pointed out, my voice barely a whisper. "And we have all our things there." "So, we can make room," Chloe retorted, dumping another cube of sugar into her coffee. "Don't be so selfish, Avery." Eleanor, ever quick to jump in, intervened before I could even respond. "It'll be fine. It's nice that your sister has a friend here who can show us around. I bit my tongue so hard I almost tasted blood, internally recalculating the entire day. That cabana? A cool $200, chosen specifically for our comfort. Adding another person would make it cramped, a violation of the clearly stated occupancy. After breakfast, we retreated to the room to change for the beach. The plan was a tranquil morning by the ocean, followed by a chartered boat tour at 2 p.m., a special excursion I'd booked, complete with dolphin watching and snorkeling at a nearby reef. It was the most expensive activity, $150 per person, and, critically, non-refundable. What time do we need to be back from the beach? Eleanor asked, slathering on sunscreen. The boat tour is at 2, so we should leave the beach by 1 to change and get to the marina, I explained. Chloe rolled her eyes, a gesture that sent a fresh wave of irritation through me. That doesn't give us much time at the beach. Can't we reschedule the boat thing? It's non-refundable, Chloe, and they were booked solid for the rest of the week, I explained patiently, trying to keep my voice even. It's supposed to be amazing. The reviews say they almost always see dolphins, and the reef has beautiful fish. Fine, Chloe sighed dramatically, as if I just condemned her to an afternoon of root canal surgery. At the beach, we found Mia already waiting near our cabana. Tall, tan, and oozing the self-assured vibe of a local. After perfunctory introductions, she immediately launched into chatter with Chloe about a way better beach club, a true insider spot. We should totally go there tomorrow, Chloe exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. They have DJs and much better food. I took a deep breath, reminded myself to be flexible, and managed a tight smile. That could be fun. The morning passed pleasantly enough, though Mia and Chloe monopolized the conversation with inside jokes and stories about people I didn't know. Eleanor seemed content to sunbathe and read her magazine, occasionally chiming in. At 12:45, I gently reminded everyone we needed to start packing up for the boat tour. Already? Chloe whined. We just got comfortable. We've been here for 3 hours, I pointed out, and we need to change before the tour. About that, Mia interjected, her smile too sweet. There's this amazing restaurant on South Beach that's impossible to get into, but my friend is the hostess and can get us a table at 2. You guys should totally come instead of doing the tourist boat thing. My heart plummeted. I watched Chloe's eyes light up, a sickening premonition twisting in my gut. That sounds way better than looking at fish, she said, turning to Eleanor. Don't you think? Eleanor looked torn, her gaze flitting between me and Chloe. Well, Avery did already pay for the boat tour. I'm sure they'd refund it if you explained, Mia said confidently, though she had absolutely no basis for this assumption. They won't, I stated firmly, my voice clipped. I checked their cancellation policy very carefully. It's 100% non-refundable within 48 hours. So, you're making us all go on this boring tour because you're worried about money? Chloe's tone was pure accusation. It's not boring. It has hundreds of 5-star reviews. I defended, my voice rising. And yes, $450 is a lot of money to just throw away. The argument simmered, then erupted again back in the hotel room as we changed. In the end, a flimsy compromise was reached. Eleanor and I would go on the boat tour. Chloe would go to lunch with Mia. It wasn't ideal, but at least the money wouldn't be completely, utterly wasted. The boat tour? It was pure magic. We watched an entire pod of dolphins leap and play in the boat's wake, snorkeled amongst schools of iridescent fish, and the guides were just phenomenal, so knowledgeable, so genuinely friendly. For those precious few hours, with Chloe's relentless negativity blessedly absent, Eleanor actually relaxed. She smiled. She genuinely enjoyed herself. We snapped photos of the dolphins, Eleanor's infectious, authentic smile warming my very soul. This was wonderful, Avery, she admitted as we sailed back to shore. I'm so glad we didn't cancel. That sliver of connection, that shared joy, ignited a fragile spark of hope in me. Maybe, just maybe, this trip could still be salvaged. But when we returned to the hotel, we found Chloe sprawled on the couch, engrossed in her phone. How was lunch? Eleanor asked. Amazing, Chloe gushed. Mia knows everyone in Miami. We got free champagne and met this group of models who invited us to a yacht party tomorrow. Tomorrow, I reminded her, my voice strained, is the Everglades airboat tour. Another non-refundable booking. Yeah, I'm not doing that, Chloe said, waving a dismissive hand. Mia says those tours are total tourist traps. The yacht party will be much more fun. A headache, sharp and pounding, began to form behind my eyes. Chloe, I started, trying to keep my voice level. I understand you want to hang out with your friend, but we came here for a family vacation for Eleanor's birthday. And Eleanor wants me to have fun, right? Chloe interrupted, turning to our mother for backup. Eleanor sighed, a weary sound. I don't want to come between you two. Can't we find something we'd all enjoy? Before I could even respond, my phone chimed. A credit card alert. My stomach dropped. I opened it to find a charge from the hotel spa for $340. I hadn't set foot in the spa. Did either of you go to the spa today? I asked, the words barely out before I knew the answer. Oh yeah, Chloe said casually without looking up. Mia and I got massages after lunch. I just put it on your card since you're handling all the vacation expenses anyway. I figured you wouldn't mind, since you're so concerned about us enjoying ourselves. I stared at her, utterly, momentarily speechless. You used my credit card without asking me? Don't make a big deal about it, Chloe scoffed, rolling her eyes. You can afford it with your fancy marketing job. Think of it as your contribution to my vacation enjoyment. My contribution? A white-hot rage flared through me. My contribution? I finally snapped. I paid for the flights, the hotel, all the activities. I've been planning this trip for months. What exactly have you contributed besides complaints? There you go again, making everything about money. Chloe shot back, her voice laced with venom. Not all of us have high-paying jobs, Avery. Some of us are still figuring things out. Girls, please, Eleanor intervened, her voice thin. Let's not fight. Chloe, you should have asked before using your sister's card. Avery, I'm sure your sister will pay you back. We both knew, deep down, she never would. That night, as Eleanor and Chloe prepared for dinner, I sought refuge on our balcony alone. The sun was melting into the ocean, painting the sky in a breathtaking symphony of oranges and pinks. It should have been beautiful, but I could barely see it through the hot, bitter tears of frustration blurring my vision. I had saved for this trip for nearly a year. I had dedicated countless hours to researching, to planning. And yet, somehow, I had become the villain in my own story, the controlling, money-obsessed sister, single-handedly ruining everyone's good time. As I wiped away my tears, I made a silent, desperate promise. Tomorrow, I will try harder. I will be more flexible, less attached to my plans. I will find a way to make this work, for Eleanor's sake. I had no idea that tomorrow would be the day everything utterly, irrevocably fell apart. I woke before sunrise on our third day, fiercely determined to turn the tide. Yesterday had ended with a suffocating, tense silence at dinner, despite my forced attempts at cheerful conversation. Today would be different. I quietly slipped out of the suite and approached the hotel's concierge. I explained that I wanted to arrange a truly special birthday breakfast for Eleanor. The kind concierge, Daniel, helped me orchestrate a private breakfast on our balcony. Fresh, vibrant fruits, delicate pastries, gourmet coffee, and champagne for mimosas. I added a small, hand-tied bouquet of Eleanor's favorite flowers and a heartfelt birthday card I'd brought from home. When I returned to the suite, Eleanor and Chloe were still lost in slumber. I meticulously arranged the breakfast surprise on the balcony, everything perfectly in place. When they finally emerged around 9 a.m., blinking in the morning light, I led them outside. Happy early birthday breakfast, Eleanor, I said, a hopeful lilt in my voice, praying this gesture would reset the entire trip's tone. Eleanor seemed genuinely touched. This is lovely, Avery. Thank you. For a brief, blissful moment, as we sipped mimosas and gazed out at the sparkling ocean, it felt like the vacation I had envisioned. Then Chloe's phone chimed. A text. Mia says the beach club I told you about has a special event today, she announced, her eyes gleaming. We should definitely go. She can put us on the VIP list. I had meticulously booked a different beach club for today, one renowned for its tranquil atmosphere and impeccable service, specifically because Eleanor had expressed a desire for a relaxing beach day. I already made arrangements at Laya Beach Club, I explained, my voice tight. They're holding a cabana for us and I've paid the deposit. But this one Mia suggested is where all the celebrities go. Chloe insisted, her voice rising. It would be so much cooler. I don't care about celebrities, Eleanor interjected, surprising both of us. But I trust Chloe's friend knows the good places. Can we change the reservation, Avery? That familiar, crushing sensation of my heart sinking returned. Another deposit lost. Another meticulously made plan, callously discarded. But I had promised myself flexibility. I'll call and see, I said, forcing a smile onto my face. The original beach club, predictably, wouldn't refund my $150 deposit. And when I called Mia's suggested club, I learned their VIP cabanas cost a staggering $500 for the day, with a minimum spend of another $300 on food and drinks. When I hesitantly mentioned this, Chloe waved away my concerns like they were gnats. It's totally worth it. The people watching alone is amazing. I didn't even bother pointing out that this would utterly obliterate our entire day's budget. What was the point? I was already mentally calculating which bill I would have to pay late next month, just to cover these rapidly mounting, unexpected expenses. We piled into a taxi, speeding towards the new beach club. Chloe chattered excitedly the entire way, gushing about the celebrities we might see. Eleanor seemed to feed off her enthusiasm, while I sat in strained silence, desperately trying to cling to a positive attitude despite the tightening knot in my stomach. When we arrived, the entrance was a chaotic sea of impossibly beautiful people, all vying for entry. Mia was waiting near the door, waving us over, air-kissing Chloe, and introducing herself to Eleanor with an almost theatrical warmth. I've heard so much about you. Happy birthday, she gushed, completely ignoring the fact that Chloe had known her for all of 2 days. Mia, with an air of practiced nonchalance, led us past the long line to a velvet rope, guarded by a stern-faced man with a clipboard. She whispered something to him. He gave a curt nod, and we were waved through. Chloe shot me a triumphant look, as if this minor power play validated everything. Inside, the club was a sensory assault, pounding, deafening music, a kaleidoscope of beautiful people in microscopic swimwear, elaborate cabanas, and a pool that looked far more suited for posing than for actual swimming. It was the antithesis of everything I had painstakingly tried to arrange for Eleanor's sake. Mia steered us to a cabana that was indeed in a prime location, but directly next to a colossal DJ booth, blasting music so loud I could feel it vibrating in my chest. Isn't this amazing? Chloe shrieked over the din. Eleanor nodded, but I saw her wince subtly at a particularly aggressive bass drop. She was putting on a brave face, but I knew, deep down, this was her personal hell. A waiter materialized, tablet in hand. Welcome to Azure. Minimum spend for this cabana is $300. Would you like to start a tab? I numbly handed over my credit card, already resigned to the inevitable expense. Can we possibly move to a cabana further from the speakers? I asked, forcing a smile. It's my mom's birthday, and we'd really like to be able to talk. The waiter looked at me as if I'd just requested he turn the ocean purple. These are our premium locations, ma'am. If you want something quieter, you should have booked a regular hotel pool. Mia laughed, a brittle, dismissive sound. That's just how it is here. It's exclusive for a reason. We settled into the cabana, and I truly tried, to make the best of it. I ordered drinks and snacks, painfully aware of the mounting tab, but still clinging to the desperate hope that Eleanor might, somehow, enjoy herself despite the overwhelming chaos. About an hour in, Mia spotted someone she knew across the crowded club and waved them over. Soon, our cabana was overrun with her friends, 3 women, 2 men, all as loud and flashy as the club itself. They ordered drinks without even a glance in my direction, clearly understanding that someone else, me, was footing the bill. Eleanor looked increasingly uncomfortable, shrinking in her seat as these complete strangers encroached on our space. I could see her attempting a polite smile, but her eyes kept darting to me, a silent, pleading help me etched in them. I leaned over to Chloe. Eleanor doesn't seem to be enjoying this. Maybe we should move to the hotel pool. She's fine. Chloe dismissed, her voice sharp. She needs to loosen up and have fun. This isn't her kind of fun, Chloe. I insisted, my voice tight with desperation. Just look at her. You're just mad because your boring plan got changed, Chloe snapped, her eyes flashing. Stop trying to control everything. One of Mia's male friends, a smirk plastered on his face, overheard. Yeah, stop being such a buzzkill. My face flushed, a burning wave of embarrassment and white-hot anger washing over me. I stood up abruptly. Eleanor, do you want to go somewhere quieter? Before Eleanor could even answer, Mia interjected, her voice dripping with artificial sweetness. Oh, we're about to order bottle service. You can't leave now. Bottle service? I echoed, my mind reeling at the astronomical cost. It's a vacation, Chloe declared, waving a dismissive hand. Live a little. That's when I saw it. One of Mia's friends, a woman with a predatory gleam in her eye, casually rifling through my beach bag. She pulled out my sunscreen, squirted some onto her hand, used it, and then tossed the tube aside without a word. Excuse me, I said, my voice trembling, reaching for my bag. Those are my things. Sharing is caring, the woman laughed, already digging for something else. I yanked my bag away, a sharp, involuntary motion that accidentally sent her drink toppling. The glass shattered on the concrete with a sickening crack. What the hell? She shrieked, jumping up as if I'd deliberately attacked her. Suddenly, every eye was on me. Mia, her friends, Chloe, and Eleanor, all staring, their expressions a mixture of shock, annoyance, and thinly veiled disgust. I'm sorry about the glass, I explained, my voice shaking, but she was going through my personal belongings without permission. It's not a big deal, Avery. Chloe hissed, her face contorted. Why are you making a scene? A scene? I repeated, incredulity warring with rage. These strangers are invading our family vacation, going through my things, running up a tab on my credit card, and I'm making a scene? Eleanor finally stood, her face a mask of mortification. Avery, please. People are staring. I don't care. I finally snapped, my voice rising above the pulsating music. I spent months planning this trip. I saved for a year to give you a special birthday. I researched everything to make it perfect. And what thanks do I get? Chloe invites strangers, changes all the plans, uses my credit card without permission, and you take her side every single time. The music seemed to dim. The world seemed to hold its breath as my voice cut through the air. Nearby cabanas, filled with their impeccably dressed occupants, were indeed watching our family drama unfold with undisguised, avid interest. Eleanor's face flushed a deep, angry red. She grabbed my arm, pulling me roughly behind the cabana, into a sliver of relative privacy. You are embarrassing me, she hissed, her voice a furious whisper. This whole trip, you've been rigid and controlling, making Chloe feel bad about wanting to have fun her way. Her way is costing me thousands of dollars I didn't budget for. I protested, my voice raw with betrayal. And it's not even what you wanted. You hate loud music and crowds. This was supposed to be a relaxing beach vacation for your birthday, not some party scene for Chloe and her Instagram friend. Eleanor's expression hardened, a look I rarely, if ever, saw. Stop ruining the trip with your sister. Just leave. The words hung in the air, echoing in the sudden, terrible silence that seemed to descend upon us. I instinctively recoiled, feeling as if I'd been physically struck. From behind Eleanor, I saw Chloe watching, a disturbing blend of shock and what looked horribly like satisfaction. Fine, I said quietly, my voice surprisingly steady, gathering my shredded dignity around me like a shield. I'll leave. I turned and walked away, not daring to look back, even as I heard Eleanor call my name once, uncertainly. I didn't trust myself to speak without completely shattering. As I passed through the club's opulent entrance, the stern bouncer met my gaze with a surprisingly sympathetic look. Perhaps he had witnessed this kind of raw family drama unfold countless times in this gilded playground for the beautiful and privileged. Outside, I gulped down lungfuls of air that weren't heavy with designer perfume and stifling pretense. Then I hailed a taxi, directing it back to our hotel, my mind already coldly calculating what I needed to do next. The hotel room, when I finally returned, felt eerily quiet, cool, a stark, painful contrast to the cacophony of the beach club. I stood in the center of the living area for a long moment, my gaze sweeping over our shared space. Chloe's clothes were carelessly strewn across the furniture. Eleanor's reading glasses and novel lay on the coffee table, right beside my meticulously organized travel documents. I moved, almost mechanically, to my small bedroom and pulled out my suitcase. With a chilling, almost surgical precision, I began packing. Each item folded neatly. Each toiletry sealed and secured. These mundane physical tasks were a lifeline, a desperate anchor keeping the tidal wave of emotions at bay, though sometimes I still had to pause, a fresh wave of hurt threatening to drown me. This wasn't just a raw, emotional outburst. A calm, rational, almost terrifyingly clear part of my brain had made this decision. Eleanor had told me to leave, and I was respecting her wishes. The fact that it also preserved the last shards of my self-respect was a necessary, almost cruel bonus. As I packed, my mind raced, creating a mental inventory of every single reservation, every painstakingly made arrangement for the remainder of their trip. 3 more days of activities, meals, experiences, all chosen with such care. I couldn't simply vanish without ensuring they could still access everything I had already paid for. At the hotel desk in our room, I found a notepad bearing the hotel's elegant logo. I wrote a detailed, factual note. I explained precisely where to find all the reservation confirmations, stored in my email, yes, but also conveniently printed in the travel folder. I listed every remaining activity by day, complete with confirmation numbers and contact information. I even included the names of the hotel staff I had built relationships with, the ones who could offer assistance if needed. I read over the note, ensuring my handwriting, despite my shaking hands, was legible. No accusations. No emotional language. Just the cold, hard facts and information they would need to navigate the next 3 days. I placed it prominently on the coffee table, where it would be impossible to miss upon their return. Next, I went down to the front desk and sought out Daniel, the concierge who had so kindly helped me with the birthday breakfast just hours earlier. "Is everything all right, Miss Walker?" he asked, his eyes, sharp and perceptive, noticing my red-rimmed eyes with genuine concern. "There's been a change of plans," I explained, my voice surprisingly steady. "I need to return home early, but my mother and sister will be staying for the duration. Could you please ensure that all the arrangements I've made for them remain accessible?" Daniel, the consummate professional, didn't pry. He simply offered genuine, unwavering assistance. He updated the room information so Eleanor could charge expenses without my presence. He confirmed every single one of my prepaid reservations would be honored. He even, bless him, arranged for a birthday amenity to be delivered to the room on Eleanor's actual birthday, 2 days hence. "And could you recommend a good flight booking service?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "I need to arrange a return flight as soon as possible." Daniel directed me to the business center, where I was able to book a flight leaving that very evening. It cost far more than I had budgeted for, another brutal financial hit on top of everything else. But I couldn't stay another night. Not after what had happened. Back in the room, I opened my banking app and transferred the remaining spending money I had budgeted for the trip directly into Eleanor's account. She wouldn't be left stranded financially, even if my own account was now dangerously, frighteningly low. I took one last, lingering look around the luxurious suite, the place that was supposed to have been the backdrop for our perfect family reunion. From the balcony, the ocean stretched out to the horizon, impossibly beautiful, utterly indifferent to human dramas. I allowed myself precisely 1 minute. 1 minute to stand there, to feel the gentle breeze, to acknowledge, truly acknowledge, everything I was losing by walking away. Then I closed the balcony door, picked up my suitcase, and left. In the lobby, the same bellhop who had greeted us so cheerfully just 2 days prior helped me into a taxi to the airport. As we pulled away from the hotel, I finally switched my phone back on. I sent a single, stark text to Eleanor. "As requested, I'm leaving. All reservations are still valid. Enjoy the rest of your trip." Then I turned off notifications, leaning my head against the cool glass, watching Miami's glittering coastline slip past. The Uber driver, sensing my profound mood, mercifully kept silent, offering me the quiet I so desperately needed. At the airport, everything blurred into a haze. Security lines, an overpriced sandwich I couldn't taste, the crowded waiting area teeming with families and couples, all embarking on or returning from their own vacations. I couldn't help but wonder how many of them were experiencing the perfect trips I had envisioned for us. When I finally boarded the plane and sank into my economy seat, a stark, almost cruel contrast to the first-class luxury I'd arranged for our arrival, the full weight of exhaustion hit me. It was physical, yes, but overwhelmingly emotional. As the plane roared down the runway, lifting away from the city where I had abandoned my family and thousands of dollars worth of prepaid experiences, I finally let the tears come. They streamed, hot and silent, down my face. The middle-aged woman beside me, with a quiet grace, pretended not to notice, simply offering me a tissue without a word. Sometimes those small, anonymous kindnesses from strangers hurt the most. By the time we reached cruising altitude, I had cried myself into a state of numb, hollow emptiness. I politely declined the flight attendant's offer of a drink, closed my eyes, not expecting sleep, but desperately needing to shut out the world, if only for a while. Somewhere, over the darkened, sprawling landscape of America, a profound realization dawned on me. This was the first decision I had made in months that wasn't carefully calculated to please Eleanor or accommodate Chloe. It had been purely, unapologetically, for my own well-being. The realization didn't instantly make me feel better, not exactly, but it felt significant. My apartment, when I unlocked the door just after midnight, felt smaller, emptier than I remembered. Everything was exactly as I had left it 4 days prior. Yet, it felt like returning to a different life entirely. I dropped my suitcase in the entryway and moved through the dark rooms, not bothering to turn on any lights. In my bedroom, I didn't unpack. I didn't even change clothes. I simply collapsed onto my bed, fully dressed, and surrendered to the crushing emotional and physical exhaustion. When I woke the next morning, disoriented, still in yesterday's clothes, the brutal reality of what had transpired slammed into me. I was supposed to be in Miami with my family for 3 more days. Instead, I was alone in my silent apartment, having walked away from thousands of dollars in non-refundable reservations and, more painfully, from the shattered dream of what that trip was supposed to have been. I checked my phone. It was just after 10 a.m., and the screen glowed with 17 missed calls, 12 from Eleanor, 5 from Chloe, and countless text messages. I wasn't ready. Not ready to read them, not ready to listen. I silenced my phone again, setting it aside as if it were a venomous snake. The quiet of my apartment, usually a comforting balm after busy workdays, now felt suffocating. I turned on some music, forced myself into a shower, and tried to establish some semblance of normalcy by making coffee and toast, though I had no appetite. As the day crawled on, I found myself oscillating between moments of steely clarity and unwavering confidence in my decision, and crushing waves of doubt and guilt. Had I overreacted? Should I have stayed, pushed harder to make things work? Was I being petty about money when family was what truly mattered? Then I would vividly remember the agonizing sting of Eleanor's words, telling me to leave, the cold satisfaction in Chloe's eyes, and my resolve would harden once more. I deserved better than to be treated as an ATM and a glorified personal travel agent whose feelings and preferences counted for absolutely nothing. Around 4 p.m., roughly 24 hours after I had walked away from that beach club, my phone began to ring again. This time, it was Olivia, my best friend. I hesitated, then answered. "Hey, I managed," my voice rough from disuse. "Avery, are you okay? Aren't you supposed to be in Miami?" Olivia sounded genuinely concerned. "I hadn't told anyone about leaving early." "How did you know something was wrong?" "Your mom called me," Olivia explained. "She said she's been trying to reach you since yesterday and was worried." The fact that Eleanor had tracked down my best friend's number instead of respecting my obvious, desperate need for space irritated me beyond words, but I tried to keep it from my voice. "I'm fine." I just needed some time alone. What happened? Do you want to talk about it? To my own surprise, the words tumbled out. Everything. The months of planning. The immediate, suffocating tension upon arrival. Chloe's friend. The relentless, exhausting changes to my carefully laid plans. And finally, the utterly awful scene at the beach club. So, I concluded, my voice flat, I left. Eleanor told me to leave, and I did. There was a long, heavy silence on the other end of the line. Then Olivia's voice, quiet and firm, I'm coming over. With wine. An hour later, Olivia arrived, not just with wine, but with takeout from my favorite Thai restaurant and a pint of chocolate ice cream. We sat on my living room floor, eating pad Thai straight from the containers, as I scrolled through the increasingly frantic texts from Eleanor and Chloe. The first messages from Eleanor, sent about 3 hours after I'd left, were laced with anger. I can't believe you would be so selfish and dramatic. You've ruined this trip with your tantrum. Then, they shifted subtly to confusion. Where are you? Are you coming back to the hotel? By late evening, they had transformed into a semblance of concern. Avery, please answer. We're worried about you. Just let us know you're safe. Chloe's messages followed a similar, albeit less concerned and more accusatory, pattern. Way to make Mom's birthday trip all about you was followed by, Mom is really upset now. I hope you're happy. You know what I noticed? Olivia said, refilling our wine glasses, her gaze steady. Not one single apology in all those messages. Not one acknowledgement that they hurt you, or any appreciation for all you did to plan this trip. I hadn't realized, until that exact moment, how desperately I needed someone to validate my feelings. The hard, tight knot that had been lodged in my chest since Miami began, imperceptibly, to loosen. I keep thinking I overreacted, I admitted, my voice small. Maybe I should have been more flexible. Olivia shook her head firmly. Avery, you spent months planning a beautiful trip. You paid for most of it. You tried to accommodate their changes at every turn, losing deposits, watching your careful plans get thrown aside. Then your sister used your credit card without permission. And when you finally expressed your very valid hurt feelings, your mom told you to leave. You didn't overreact. If anything, you underreacted until that final, breaking moment. We stayed up late, talking for hours. Olivia's unwavering support was a balm, helping me process the dizzying swirl of emotions. When she finally left around midnight, I felt stronger, clearer, than I had since the entire debacle began. The next morning, I woke to a notification. Eleanor had posted on Facebook. Against my better judgment, a morbid curiosity drew me in. There were several photos from the trip, all captioned, "Wonderful Miami vacation for my birthday with Chloe. Missing Avery, who had to leave early for work. Wish you were still here with us, honey." The sheer, brazen fabrication about why I had left struck me cold. The photos depicted Eleanor and Chloe smiling, laughing, enjoying restaurants I had meticulously researched and booked, experiences I had arranged and paid for. Not a single mention of our explosive fight or the true, ugly reason for my absence. Just as I was trying to process this surreal deception, my phone chimed again, this time with a call from Sarah, Eleanor's best friend since college. Avery, it's Sarah. I just wanted to check if you're okay. Your mom called me this morning. I braced myself, expecting another wave of guilt-tripping or manipulation, funneled through a third party. I'm fine, Sarah. Just needed some space. I figured as much, Sarah said, her tone surprising me with its unexpected empathy. Look, I've known your mother for 30 years, and I love her dearly. But I also know how she can be with you and your sister. Eleanor called me in a panic, saying you'd stormed off from the vacation after some disagreement, but I had a feeling there was more to the story. Sarah's unexpected understanding was a damn breaking. It prompted me to give her the abbreviated, raw version of events. She listened without a single interruption, then sighed, a heavy, world-weary sound. That sounds about right, she finally said. Your mom called me last night, practically in tears, because she and Chloe couldn't figure out how to use the dinner reservations you'd made. Apparently, the restaurant couldn't find the booking at first, because it was under your name. Then this morning, she called again because they couldn't find the confirmation for some boat tour. A flicker of grim vindication, sharp and unexpected, ignited within me. I left detailed instructions. And all the confirmation numbers. "I'm sure you did," Sarah assured me, as if reading my mind. "But you know your mom and technology. And Chloe has never been one to handle details. They're completely lost without you, which is probably why your mom is trying so hard to reach you." The image of my mother and sister floundering through the carefully arranged experiences I'd left for them made me feel a complicated mix of satisfaction and profound sadness. Part of me, the bruised, resentful part, wanted them to struggle, to truly realize just how much work I had poured into that trip. But another part, a deeply rooted, maternal part, felt guilty for abandoning them, even though I'd been explicitly told to leave. "They'll figure it out," I said, more to convince myself than Sarah. "Maybe," Sarah replied, a note of doubt in her voice. "But that's not really why I called. I wanted to make sure you're taking care of yourself. Your mom and Chloe can be a lot to handle. And you've always been the one who accommodates everyone else." Her profound, quiet understanding brought fresh, hot tears to my eyes. "I'm trying to," I choked out. "Good. And Avery, whatever happens when they get back, remember that you deserve respect and appreciation. Especially from family." After Sarah's call, I decided to brave social media again. Chloe had posted several stories on Instagram, poolside selfies, drinks with Mia, a grainy video of Eleanor awkwardly dancing at what looked like a restaurant. They appeared to be enjoying themselves without me, which stung, despite being exactly what I expected. But then, in the background of one of Chloe's photos, I noticed something. Eleanor was sitting alone at a beach bar, staring off into the distance with an expression of such profound, quiet sadness that it stopped me cold. It wasn't the face of someone having a wonderful time. That evening, 5 days after I had walked away from Miami, I was quietly making dinner when my doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. For a fleeting moment, I considered ignoring it, but curiosity, a faint, lingering flicker, won out. I opened the door. There stood Eleanor and Chloe, looking travel-worn, uncertain, utterly diminished. "You're supposed to be in Miami for 2 more days," I managed, too stunned to say anything else. "We came back early," Eleanor said simply, her voice low. "Can we come in, please?" I stepped aside, letting them enter, my mind a whirlwind of questions, my heart already bracing itself against fresh hurt. The 3 of us stood awkwardly in my living room, the silence so heavy it felt suffocating, laden with all the unsaid words that had built up between us. None of us seemed to know how to even begin. The faint, mundane drone of a neighbor's television seeped through the wall, an incongruous backdrop to our raw family drama. "Why did you come back early?" I finally asked, my voice breaking the tense silence. Eleanor and Chloe exchanged a look I couldn't quite decipher, a mixture of shame and something else. "The trip fell apart after you left," Eleanor admitted, her gaze fixed on the floor. "Completely," Chloe added, surprising me with her sudden, uncharacteristic candor. "We missed the sunset cruise because we couldn't find the meeting point. Then we got completely lost trying to find the restaurant you booked for dinner. The confirmation emails and instructions I left weren't helpful?" I asked, unable to keep the bitter edge from my voice. "They were," Eleanor said quietly, finally meeting my eyes. "But I realized, that we'd been relying on you for everything. When you weren't there, it all just felt overwhelming." I waited, my face impassive, not ready to make this any easier for them. "The day after you left, we tried to go to that Everglades tour you had booked," Chloe continued, her voice small. "We made it to the meeting point this time, but they said the reservation was specifically for 3 people, and they couldn't adjust it last minute to just 2. We lost that money too. We spent the rest of that day just sitting at the hotel pool," Eleanor added, her voice heavy with regret. "That's when I started to really think about everything that had happened. About how much work you had put into planning this trip, and how quickly we dismissed it all. And about how awful we were to you," Chloe said, her voice barely a whisper. I looked at her, genuinely surprised by this unexpected acknowledgement. Chloe met my gaze directly, truly directly, for the first time since they'd arrived. I was jealous, she admitted, her voice raw. You always have everything so together. Your career, your apartment, your plans. I invited Mia to the trip because I wanted to seem cool and connected, too. I didn't think about how it would affect the vacation you planned. And I enabled her, Eleanor added, her shoulders slumping. I've always worried so much about Chloe feeling left out or less successful that I've completely overlooked how unfair that is to you. I felt tears welling, hot and painful, but I fiercely held them back. You told me to leave, I said to Eleanor, the words tasting like ash in my mouth, the hurt still raw and bleeding. After everything I did to make that trip special for you, you told me to leave. Eleanor's face crumpled. I know, she whispered, her voice thick with remorse. I was embarrassed about making a scene, and I lashed out at the wrong person. Instead of standing up for you, I took the easy route of siding with Chloe, like I always do. I'm so sorry, Avery. So deeply, profoundly sorry. The apology I had needed, craved, ached for, finally came. And with it, the tears I'd been holding back, a dam breaking. Do you know how much that hurt? I choked out, my voice ragged. To be dismissed like that, after all the time, and money, and love I poured into that trip? We don't deserve your forgiveness, Eleanor said, her own eyes now brimming with tears. But we're here to ask for it anyway. Chloe nodded, looking more humble, more genuinely remorseful than I had ever seen her. And to tell you that we're going to try to do better. Starting with paying you back for the trip. I don't care about the money, I said automatically, though a part of me, a small, stubborn part, definitely did. We know, Eleanor said, wiping her eyes. But it's about respect and accountability. We're going to pay you back, and we're going to work on the deeper issues, too. We talked for hours that night, peeling back layer after painful layer of family dynamics that had been subtly, insidiously forming since our childhoods. Eleanor admitted that she had always, perhaps unconsciously, expected more from me because I seemed more capable, while simultaneously shielding Chloe from consequences because she seemed more fragile. Chloe, for her part, acknowledged that she had ruthlessly exploited this dynamic, playing the baby of the family whenever it suited her. And I finally shared how this had made me feel, unappreciated, taken for granted, and often agonizingly lonely in my role as the perpetually responsible one. It wasn't an easy conversation. Oh no. There were more tears, some voices still raised, and moments when old, entrenched defensive patterns threatened to completely derail us. But something profound had fundamentally shifted. For the very first time, we were actually, truly listening to each other. 2 weeks later, the three of us had our first session with a family therapist. It was Eleanor's idea, a decision that surprised both Chloe and me to our cores. We need help to break these patterns, she had said, her voice firm. I don't want to lose either of my daughters because I couldn't figure out how to be fair to both of you. The therapy wasn't a quick fix. It brought up raw, painful truths and demanded that all of us examine behaviors we would have much rather left buried and unquestioned. But it was also healing in ways I had never dared to imagine. Eleanor slowly, steadily, began treating me and Chloe as equals, both in her expectations and, more importantly, in her affection. Chloe, for the first time, started taking genuine responsibility for her choices and their very real consequences. And I finally learned that I could state my needs, I could set boundaries, without being consumed by crushing guilt. 6 months after the Miami disaster, Eleanor, tentative but hopeful, suggested we try another family trip. Something small. Something simple this time. We settled on a weekend at a charming lakeside cabin, just a few hours' drive away. The planning was a revelation, collaborative, with clear agreements about costs and responsibilities. Chloe, bless her, actually took charge of the food planning and shopping, tackling the task with a seriousness and diligence I'd never witnessed from her before. That weekend wasn't flawless. Old habits, like stubborn weeds, occasionally surfaced. But now, we had the tools. We had the language to recognize them, to address them. We had one minor argument about activity plans, but instead of spiraling into a full-blown conflict, we were able to talk through it respectfully, truly hear each other out. On our last evening, Sitting on the cabin's porch, watching the sunset bleed across the tranquil lake, Eleanor raised her glass. To Avery, she said, her voice warm, brimming with genuine appreciation, who taught us that sometimes walking away is the bravest, most powerful thing you can do. Thank you for giving us another chance to be the family you deserve. Chloe, her eyes soft, joined the toast, adding, and to not taking each other for granted anymore. As our glasses clinked softly, a profound sense of peace settled within me. A feeling of being truly seen, truly valued by my family, perhaps for the very first time. The Miami trip had been a brutal, painful breaking point, yes. But it had, against all odds, forged a path to necessary growth for all of us. I've learned that sometimes the hardest boundaries to set are with the people we love most. That real love isn't just affection and shared history. It demands respect. It demands reciprocity. And that walking away, when done not as a manipulation, but as an act of courageous self-preservation, can sometimes be the most potent catalyst for positive, profound change. If you're watching this and finding echoes of your own family dynamics in my story, know this: change is possible. But it requires unflinching honesty, consistent effort, and sometimes the sheer, raw courage to say enough when you're being treated unfairly. Your worth is not measured by how much you can endure, but by how true you stay to yourself, even in the most difficult moments. Has anyone else ever had to walk away from family to make them truly see you, truly appreciate you? Drop a comment below and share your experience. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more real-life stories about family dynamics, boundaries, and personal growth. And please, don't forget to share this video with someone who might need to hear that it's absolutely okay to stand up for themselves, even with family. Thank you for listening. And remember, sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away. But the most beautiful thing? It's finding your way back to each other with a new understanding and a deep, abiding respect.